Hello, jeweler. Welcome to our module on Self Alchemy. Now, what this really is simply beginning to put into practice what we've learned so far about our mind and how it works and what we ought to be striving for. We've taught about how you are going to be your biggest obstacle to get through in creating a life and business that's successful. We've also talked about how easy it is to form beliefs based on experiences and how those beliefs don't even need to come from real experiences. They can simply exist in your mind, and your subconscious mind can't tell the difference. Both visualizing negative thoughts and visualizing positive thoughts can have the exact same effect of creating feedback loops, which then determine how you see yourself and where you go from here. Left unchecked, these feedback loops can either spiral upwards or spiral downwards, either making you into exactly the kind of person that you want to be, a person who achieves amazing results and takes massive action and changes the world, or they can also continue to defeat you unnecessarily, sapping you of energy and the will to go on. The thoughts that you entertain in your mind determine how your life is lived out as well as the experiences that you have. And most people have a seriously deflated view of themselves that has never allowed them to reach their full potential. And you might have one too. We want to break through those barriers and allow you to access every available capacity so that you are as strong as you possibly can be, thus naturally leading to your successful future in an almost effortless path as you naturally carry out the life that you are always destined to. However, as you are right now, you can't reach those goals. We need to change your thinking about yourself in order for you to access your full God-given potential so you can begin to act in accordance with your new becoming self. We call this changing of ourselves self alchemy, and it begins in your mind. Now, as we've discussed previously, in the market, there are problems that people have, and your job as a business owner is to discover people's problems and help them achieve their goals and solve their problems. If you help them do that, they'll pay you handsomely. However, naturally, we have to assume that we also have problems, and we want solving as well. You currently are living in a particular situation, which we will from here on out, we'll call that your current situation. It's where you are right now. And you want something more though, and we'll call that your desired situation. So possibly right now, you have not seen any business success or what you want. You don't believe yourself to be an amazing jeweler or someone who deserves a very giant sum of money. You don't see others as looking up to you, and you feel that your personality in some way has hindered you from realizing the success that you want. Then, on the other side, we have your desired situation about who you want to be. Over here, we have you, but a bigger, much bigger version of you. Someone that people admire, someone that people talk about and they say, how did they possibly achieve everything that they've achieved? You live in a house that looks like this, you drive a car that looks like that, your relationships look like this, your friends look like that. For me, my desired situation is to have multiple homes in Hawaii, which I'm very close to realizing. I wanted a happy marriage and work which paid very well and had autonomy, purpose, and that I was really good at. I wanted to be a very healthy individual who was outside as much as possible and had a great body. I wanted people to admire what I built and desire for me to teach them. Every person is going to define success differently. That's not what matters. What matters is that if you want to become a bigger version of yourself who is successful, then you need to begin thinking the way that person thinks. And in order to think the way that your new self thinks, we need to know a few things about that person. And the more details we have about them, the better, because this will allow us to assume the mindset of the successful person on the other side of our gap. Now, once we've established who we are becoming and we can think in the mindset of that person, we essentially have two people, right? We have our current character, current situation, the person that most people are familiar with, and the one that most people commonly refer to as me. And then we have the becoming self, the one whose mind we're using to make decisions and to move forward and to be successful. In your life, these two people are going to fight each other for dominance. You'll start to act healthily, and then your current character will fight back to act unhealthily. You try working really hard for long stretches of time, and your current character will fight back and say, no, I need to watch Netflix. You'll begin to make calls and reach out to potential clients and get sales. And your current character will say, hey, look, now I have some money. I can go screw off and I can stop working so hard. This battle between your current character and your becoming self is constant and will take breaking a lot of old habits in your life in order to get through these battles and do the things that we need to do to wake up early, to eat right, to exercise, to attack our daily tasks with vigor, and to be the person that is successful. We need to transcend ourselves. So, transcending yourself is when you're able to look at yourself from the outside and watch your behaviors as an outside observer would watch. Since who you are becoming is truly the only thing that matters, then you're looking back at your current character and watching what it does. What does it say? What does it think? What does it try to do? For example, if you know that you should be setting up your website and your current character says, I'm not tech savvy, then your becoming self can observe that and take over and say, you're not in charge. I am a successful person who does whatever it takes to reach my goals, and you won't get in my way. Or if your current character feels awkward and says, I feel awkward in front of the camera, or business just isn't for me, or maybe I'm not meant for success, then your becoming self can look at the current character and take it by the arm and say, wrong, you don't decide what we do. I am successful, and I do whatever it takes to hit my dreams because they are worth it to me. You will do as I say. For me, when I began getting clients, it was pretty euphoric. I felt amazing. But then I had this feeling of, hey, look at your bank account. Now you look rich. Go ahead and spend whatever you want. Don't worry about it. Now, the stupid thing here is that obviously, if you spend all of your money, you're no longer rich. Once I was able to buy the car that I had spent countless nights drooling over, I realized that if I bought that car, my bank account would be at zero. And it would have been so pointless to have a nice looking car, but to be poor. I made the decision that it was more important not to look rich, but to be rich. Because it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. The more you keep, the more safety you have, the more potential you have, and the more you can make that money work for you. If you just go out and spend every dime that you make, well, you're back to being where you were before. Luckily, I have a lot of great mentors, and I've had a lot of great mentors who demonstrate this well. So I would personally feel like an idiot if I went and spent all my money on a cool car when I first had enough of it. However, I had to tell my current character, stop being an idiot. We don't care about looks. Who cares if we drive an impressive car? Nobody. That's your ego speaking. Keep it in line. We have a life that we're building. And what I would do is I would notice the level of challenge that I was getting from my current character. So if my current character was putting up a little fight, I'd notice that. And then immediately my becoming self would put in a bigger fight to fight back. And if my current character was putting up a big fight, then I put up a huge fight to fight back. If my current character decided to put up its fists, then mentally I'd bring out a knife. And when my current character brought out a knife, then I would pull a gun. No matter what the level was, if my successful self noticed a destructive feedback loop that was about to occur, it would kick into gear and take charge. And naturally, I had to change a lot about myself to make that happen. But now it's like as soon as I get out of bed, I am stoked to get working. I'm so stoked that I can hardly get going fast enough. By assuming the role of your becoming self in your mind, and then letting that successful self make all of your decisions, you end up creating incredibly positive habits, which help you to rapidly fulfill your goals and dreams. This is transcending yourself, and it's making your character dance the way you want it to. It's your successful self becoming the master, and your current character being forced to move in whatever way it wants. And it's always, always for your own good, because it's creating the person that you want to become, that you chose, the one who deserves the success that you crave. So we have to begin first by defining who the current character is, then defining the becoming self. And we do this by creating a hero, someone that we look up to who is really us just in a few years. This we call mythologizing yourself. And I'm going to take you through the worksheets which we'll use to complete this part of your mindset training. And this is really fun. This is like the super, super fun part. Like, I love doing this stuff. Do not skip any of this, because without having these things defined, the only person who can be in control is your current character. And you're not currently where you want to be, so you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So don't skip this stuff. This is incredibly important. Okay, we're just going to go through these worksheets one by one, and you will need to download these underneath the video. There'll be a link that you can download these. Once you do get it, simply log on, look at, once you get the sheet, go to File, make a copy, and then you will be able to save it to your own Google Drive. If you want to as well, you can download it as well. So here we have the very first worksheet we're going to go for is the Current Character Worksheet. We're going to go Current Character, Designing Your Dream Life, New Character, and then Mythologizing Yourself worksheet. So let's start with the Current Character Worksheet. So what is the Current Character Worksheet? The Current Character Worksheet is our first look in the mirror. By being completely honest with ourselves, not too generous, not too harsh, but realistic, we're giving ourselves something to work with. And the more we know, and the more we decide that this is who our current character is, that will be changed. The tighter our grip gets on the steering wheel of our lives. So you want to be very honest with where you really are. Remember, we don't want to be in denial about anything about who we are or what we're doing, but we also don't want to have an overly pessimistic view of who we currently are either. So try to be as realistic as you possibly can be. So how would you describe yourself right now in 3 sentences or less? Nice and quick. And then where do you currently live? How much money do you currently make and have? And be honest. In fact, if you can go into your bank accounts and then also have all of your debts and then cancel those out so you know exactly how much money you currently have. And then where you currently live, obviously, where do you live? What does your house look like? What does your room look like? What does your apartment look like? The town that you live in? Where is it that you currently live? How do you currently present yourself? What do you look like? On a day-to-day basis, or while you're trying to be professional at least, what do you currently look like? And I mean in every regard. So do you normally do your hair? Do you not do your hair? Do you just roll out of bed and whatever the first thing is that you can grab is what you end up wearing? Are you more thoughtful about it? Do you match well? Do you have a particular style that you use or don't use? And as we talked about before, I want you to make sure you get your Myers-Briggs test results. So go back and do that test if you haven't done that yet. But what was your result for that? And now, what are your current binary poles? So we talked about the ways that we see certain things and we react to certain things. But in a previous video, when we talked about what our immediate beliefs are on certain things, we think that rich people are bad and poor people are good, and that the city is bad and that nature is good. Well, we all have these poles in our lives, and we want to make sure that we're aware of what they are, because we always tend towards one direction. And if we have an idea of what that is, and that's who our current character is. So if normally you're, for example, tight with money rather than loose with money, and that's who your current character is, and we want to change your current character, this gives us an idea of ways that we can then change our character. So if you are more logical than intuitive, then it might be a time for you to move from logic to intuition, where you start going by your gut. If you act more masculine or feminine, then it might be a time for you to act more of the other direction. Disciplined or undisciplined, sensible, silly, organized, disorganized. And obviously definitions for each one of these words is going to change from person to person, but it's going to be up to your own definitions and what you believe about these things. What do you believe about being shy? What do you believe about being outgoing? And how would you describe yourself? So don't worry about looking up the actual definitions. But what are your current binary poles? Choose one from each one of these pairs, and this is what you currently look like. This is what you currently desire. This is what you currently think is good. So for healthy or unhealthy, are you more healthy? Are you more unhealthy? Loud, quiet? Are you more loud or quiet? Now, what are your good and bad habits? What things do you do repeatedly? And I want you to list all of them. So not just your bad habits, but also your good ones. So if you have a bad habit, for example, of biting your nails, or if you have a bad habit of smoking or of drinking too much or spending too much money, then put that down there. If you have a good habit of exercise or another good habit of keeping in touch with friends and family or another good habit of any of these things, make sure that you list out the good habits and the bad habits that you have that you can think of. Now, what are your strengths? The 5 things that someone else would say, I would definitely rely on you for this. The 5 things that you would say, I can do this better than most people, or that you would rely on yourself for. Then what are your weaknesses? List those 5. What negative things pop into your mind on a daily basis? Now, this is really important because remember when we talked about feedback loops? Feedback loops are fed by the thoughts that we have in our minds. So what are those negative things that you have in your mind? Don't worry about what you find in there. Just know that it can all be changed. But what negative thoughts do you currently have popping into your mind on a daily basis? Now, what was your childhood like? Describe that in detail. What is the story that you tell others about yourself, or the one that you tell yourself about how you grew up? What past events do you worry about or replay in your mind all the time? What kind of things are constantly going on in your head? What things do you worry about in the future? For a lot of people, obviously, it's not having enough money or not being healthy or not being satisfied in a certain way. So list those out. What things block you from doing what you want to do each day and working towards your dreams and goals? And be honest about this. If it's yourself and a desire to just be lazy and not work hard, then that's one thing. If it's a huge lack of belief in yourself that you can actually accomplish something, that's something else. If it is an overwhelming schedule and that's a schedule that you've made for yourself, then that's what it is too. Who are you currently angry at? What people or things do you blame? Who do you currently judge, and what do you judge them for? This will be different from person to person, naturally. What things do you love and could happily do every day? What things do you hate doing and never want to do ever? So this is important because when we have autonomy in our lives eventually, then we'll be able to decide which things we want to do and which things we don't want to do. Now, what does the average day look like for you now? Describe it from when you first wake up till the moment that you go to bed. Your average day. Mostly your average work day. What does that look like for you? What are your character traits? So, what do people say about you and what do you think about yourself? Driven, powerful, smart, classy, or you're a procrastinator, you're lazy, scrappy, you're shy. How would you describe yourself and how would others describe you? How do you imagine that others gossip and talk about you in a cafe? This is an important one. How do you think people talk about you that don't know you, who just see you walking by as a stranger? Now, once you've done that and you've filled all those out to the best of your ability, and remember to be as detailed as possible, then we can move on to the Designing Your Life worksheet. So the Designing Your Dream Life worksheet, what is that? The Designing Your Dream Life worksheet puts concrete goals and definitions to the direction that we're going. The way to make this as powerful as possible is to make everything as detailed as possible. The more detailed, the better. Describe everything that matters to you, including the feel of the carpet, the color of the walls, the time you wake up in the morning, who you're friends with, and what you do together on a regular basis. Have fun with this. This is one of the best exercises you can do because remember when we talked about worrying in reverse? When you worry normally, you're going towards the future and you're looking at a false future that doesn't exist and you're borrowing stress and pain and anxiety from it. What this does is it allows you to put another kind of future in your head so you can now worry in reverse and you can borrow vitality and power and life from that future as well. By designing your dream life and really being extremely specific about it, you can have it has an incredibly powerful effect on training your subconscious and your mind to work towards those goals. So I really want you to take this seriously, spend your time with this, really spend your time with this and think through what it is that you want. These are probably things that you've thought of for a long time, but there's also going to be stuff in here that you've never thought of before. Take your time with it and really answer those questions about what you want, not just what you think you need, but what you want in life. So number 1, what is your dream? What do you want? Make it as detailed as possible and keep coming back to this each day. So there's going to be new things that you're going to learn and that you're going to realize that you want. Come back to it, add to it. Once you can see an image inside your head, it's amazing how your subconscious and the world around you work together to create that image. So I, for a long time, would imagine myself living in Hawaii, and now I'm looking at houses and I'm going to be buying one very soon. And we have our plane tickets and we have our moving company. It's like everything just comes together when you truly do that kind of a thing, including the money needed for it, the skills needed for it, everything. So what is your dream? What do you want? And be very, very, very detailed. Number 2 is define your dream. Make it as clear as possible. Where do you want to live? What do you want to do each day? Where will you live? Now, once you've done that, declare your dream to those who care. Tell your wife, husband, or partner. Share the vision with your family and friends. The more you tell other people and get them involved in it, the more pressure you are going to put on yourself to perform. This is because human beings will do more to not look bad in front of other people than they will to improve themselves. It's a scary move, but by telling other people, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going to have, it puts that in your mind. It puts an onus on you to have to do it because you want to live up to what you said and to have integrity. So tell other people where you're going with your lives. And where you're going with your life, what you're going to do, and what it is that you are striving towards. Decide what you're going to do. What is your business, product, or service? Who are you helping and with what? So, what is your business exactly? I know you make jewelry or you work with jewelry, but in what way? What is your business? Who do you help and what do you help them with? Design your entire business. Map out the processes involved. So with your business right now, it could be, you could currently have a business that is relatively successful, but it's not the business that you want. Design your entire business that you want. So map out the processes involved, the different price points, how many clients you need each month, how many appointments, and what price points those are at, etc. Everything that you need to know about this business that you want. Number 6, we're going to have to take daily actions. Take the big picture and break it down into this current year, and then break it down into different months, and then into different weeks and days until you get a daily action plan. By doing things in this bite-sized manner, it allows you to see exactly what you need to do so that something that looks like a really, really big hill, you are able to work on just what is right in front of you to get it done every single day. Number 7, deliver. It's your time. Commit, do the work, get through it, and achieve your dreams. It's worth it. Now, the new character worksheet. Now, this is awesome. The new character worksheet helps us to understand the differences between who we currently are and who we are becoming. It solidifies in our minds the way that our hero looks. Remember, we are our own hero just a year or a few years out. And it gives us a powerful baseline on which to turn our attention and efforts. Number 1. As you look at yourself a couple years out, this hero, how would you describe the new version of you necessary to effortlessly achieve all of your dreams and goals? Try to describe this character in 3 sentences or less. So what would you look like if all of the goals and dreams that you had were so easy for you to achieve? What would you look like? Describe that in detail in just 3 sentences or less. What skills and strengths does this new character need in order to effortlessly execute on your dream and achieve it with ease? List all of those skills and strengths. What strengths does this new character have that your current character does not? What stuff do you need to work on? What is the stuff that person, as you look at him, you say, you look at him or her, and you say, that person can do this, they're skilled in this, they're proficient at this. What is it that they can do that you can't right now? What weaknesses is this new character free of that your current one possesses? What good habits does this new character have that your current one does not? What bad habits is this new character free of that your current one possesses? And this is why we did the current character worksheet before. What fears is this new character free of that your current one possesses? What are you no longer fearful of? What is this hero not fearful of? How does this new character present him or herself? What does he or she look like? So what is it that he or she wears? How does he or she dress? How do they present themselves? How do they talk? How is it that people think about them? What judgments is this new character free of that the current one possesses? And what stories about the past is this new character free of that this current one possesses? So we talked about your traits before. What traits does this new character have? Are they driven, powerful, smart, classy, or procrastinators, lazy, scrappy, and shy? Describe what an average day looks like for the new character when he or she is executing and taking massive action to achieve his or her goals. Go from the time that you wake up to the time that you go to sleep. What does a day look like? Describe the things this new character loves doing and has an appetite for that the current character hates and avoids at all costs. This is a big one. What things do you have to pull a gun on your current character for so that it does what you need it to do? What kind of things will your new character love doing? And how would other people gossip and talk about this new character in a cafe? And now the mythologizing yourself worksheet. So what is the mythologizing yourself worksheet? The mythologizing yourself worksheet helps us to get into the mind of the person that we are becoming. When you answer these questions, do so as though you are already the person you want to become and answer it from their perspective in the past tense, as though it's already happened. This is powerful and trains your mind to make these irrefutable standards. So this is a big thing. Make sure that you do this in the past tense because it allows you to think as though you are already that person, which means it trains your mind to think like them. And if you remember the power of loss aversion, if we set these things as irrefutable standards, then by giving them up, giving up something that we already have is much, much more of a powerful, it's more powerful of a motivator to want to keep something we already have than to get something we don't already have. That's loss aversion. We have an aversion to losing something we already have. So when you talk about yourself in the past tense, or you do this mythologizing yourself worksheet, it allows you to set these standards as irrefutable, things that you already have, and you'll do whatever it takes to not lose them. So look back at your life and your childhood and the negative things that you experienced and see how you can turn those around to be lessons you're thankful for in order to make you who you are today. And add any pictures if possible. So for example, I grew up believing that I was bad at math. I remember being told I was bad at math and administration. And I lost a parent at 7 years old. And I didn't really achieve anything remarkable in my life before graduating from high school and then before graduating from college. But I'm thankful for that because it makes me hungry to prove myself and make a stand towards reforming marketing and the jewelry industry. Now I want you to remember to do this in the past tense. What events or milestones can you build into your story right now? Add any pictures if possible. So for example, if you have a 9-to-5 job, I want you to take a picture of your current desk and then write down the first chapter about how your life is right now. So you're going to look back at that 9-to-5 job desk or that first place that you're starting out, and you'll be able to say, this was my first desk. This is where I started out. So I did this. I have pictures of my first desk. I have pictures of the places where I first started. Do this for yourself as well so that you can know just where you've come from. What's the next milestone in your story going to be in the way you want it to pan out? Add any pictures to represent this. For example, I decided to start my own jewelry business and I grew it up to $10,000 a month within the first 3 months, and then I quit my 9-to-5 job to go all in. Then what's the next milestone in your story the way you want it to pan out? Add any pictures to represent this. So I grew my jewelry business to $30,000 a month in the first year, moved out of my apartment and into my dream home. Add any other milestones well into the future for your story, the way you want it to pan out. Add any pictures to represent each milestone and write a description next to each one in the past tense. So it would be, I moved to Hawaii in 2021. It would be, I bought my second home in 2023, or so on and so forth. Aim to write your story 1 to 3 years out exactly the way you want it to happen, and then consciously put that into action every day, pushing to achieve that next milestone and tick it off. So these are some very, very powerful worksheets, and I really want you to have fun going through these. The current character worksheet is probably the least fun one, but when you go through designing your life, new character, and mythologizing yourself, you'll start to see yourself the way that you're becoming and who it is that you are turning into. By doing that, you're tapping into the mindset that your successful new becoming self has. And because of that, the things that you want to achieve are going to become effortless and much, much easier for you. I'll see you in the next video.